During that entire investigation, did you ever determine that the defendant was not a suspect?
No.
And why is that?
I was suspicious of her from the very beginning, just because of her demeanor when she went into the apartment.
Now let's talk about what's tipping the scales of justice. Testimony resuming this morning in the toxic roommate murder trial. Defendant Nichole Rice, accused of fatally stabbing her roommate Anita Knutson back in 2007. Prosecutors say that Rice lied about her whereabouts at the time of the murder, and they plan on calling a witness who says that Rice drunkenly confessed to the murder. Now, the defense has offered an alternate suspect, Rice's former boyfriend, Devin Hall. This after a man was seen running from the apartment.
Do you remember her telling you about a Native American man with a bloody shirt running from the scene?
She said that there was a Native American man running, I believe, on 4th Street, northbound, and that he had some sort of stain on his shirt. She said it could have been blood.
Do you remember how tall she said he was? 6'2", does that sound right?
I think 6'2", early 20s, 200 pounds.
Okay.
We did identify that person.
Okay, so is this going to tip the scales? Hall's expected to testify. He's currently in jail on an unrelated matter. So would that testimony tip the scales of justice? Let's bring back in our legal eagles, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Michael J. Brown, and criminal defense and civil attorney John Phillips. Okay, Michael J. Brown, let me start with you. What do you think is going to tip the scales of justice in the toxic roommate case?
Tough case, Julie. You're talking about a case 20 years old. And clearly, I think what you know and what you can prove sometimes are two different things. There's bad blood between these two roommates. There's no forced entry. I think that there was something else I forgot, but there was something else that was pertinent. But
her lying about where she was. Is that what you were going to say? Her lying? Yeah. Nichole Rice lying.
I think there was no theft. There was nothing taken from the home.
Right.
What does that tell you? That tells you that it's an inside person. There's no motive other than I want to kill this person. So the focus is on the roommate, but you have to prove it. Now, I know there's some evidence that there's going to be this statement from an ex-boyfriend where she allegedly confessed. Well, you know, you got a boyfriend who obviously there's going to be some bad blood. It's an ex-boyfriend. They were in a drunken area in a bar. How valuable, incredible that type of testimony is going to be remains to be seen. But really, I think it's going to rely on the forensic evidence, and I don't know if they have much of that. And without that, I don't know if they're going to be able to get a conviction in this case.
Really good points, Michael. John, to you next, please. What's tipping the scales for you here?
Yeah, I think it's, you know, as a defense tactic, I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on the investigation and say, you guys didn't really even investigate this. You didn't have the resources to investigate this. You had to bring in a TV show. And you know, the counter to that is, well, you know, regardless of how we got there, the evidence is the evidence. And, you know, there was this tension between the roommates and a statement to the effect of, I'm going to get you out of here one way or the other, and what looked like a bit of a staged scene with the cutting of a window screen and all of that. But it is hard. You know, we talked last week about, you know, the 48 hours after a murder, how important that is. Well, we're way past that. You know, we're way past that, and it's tough to prove.
Yeah, that's right, John. A great point. Ooh, I mean, this is an old case, and the family is so hopeful that there can be justice for Anita. I want to play a clip for you both of Anita's adoptive mother who gave testimony, and this is so key. Her name is Sharon Knutson, and she talks about how, thinking back all those years, her daughter Anita was really scared of Nichole. Let's watch.
When you talked about things not being good between Anita and her roommate, was there anything specific?
She would say things like, I have to do this or that before Nichole gets home. Just not comfortable things. One time I went over with her to the apartment, and she said she had to feed the fish so they wouldn't die, because if they were dead when Nichole came home, she was afraid what Nichole would do.
Okay, let's talk about how that tips the scales. Michael, what do you think?
Yeah, they're roommates and they don't get along. But let's keep in mind, not having a good relationship and taking someone's life in a vicious manner are worlds apart. So how important that is, I don't know. I mean, certainly they had a bad relationship, and that's somewhat sympathetic to the prosecution. But again, you need some solid forensic evidence that I think is going to corroborate it. That in and of itself, Julie, I don't think is going to get them far.
Appreciate it, Michael. John, your thoughts on the fear that Anita might have had with her roommate at the time?
Yeah, there's better lines in the testimony than the fear of retribution for not feeding the fish. But my roommate is my wife now, so we don't fight at all. But for all the times of having, although there's 3 little ones in our house, and sometimes they're horrible roommates. But all the times that I've had a roommate, you do get upset. There are issues, but you don't calculate and murder them. And again, the families watch shows like this. I know they come back and see clips of court TV, and our hearts go out to them because they've wanted justice, they've wanted answers, they've had this feeling for a long time, and hopefully they get justice in the criminal court.
Oh, that's the perfect note to end the segment on. John, thank you so much for that. Our hearts go out to the Knutson family. I know we have to let you both get off to court. You're busy attorneys. Thank you for the time and the expertise this morning. John Phillips, Michael J. Brown. We'll look forward to having you both back next Thursday morning.